So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Addison Herron, and she's the bassist and backing vocalist for a band that is releasing an album soon, an EP, sorry, I don't know why I said album, and they're called Chronos Compulsion. So, first of all, Addison, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm really well. So I know you guys are from Denver. I never been to Denver, but I always heard like great things about Denver.
Yeah, I love Denver. It's amazing here, especially for metal, but just in general, it's gorgeous. The mountains. Most all of us actually, some way or another, are originally more from like the East Coast of the US. So we all kind of moved out here and we all love it.
Yeah, why did you decide Denver as a place to move?
Well, me and my husband Will, who's also the vocalist and guitarist, we moved out here in 2013 after I graduated, looking for work and looking for just kind of more opportunities out here. And then John, our drummer, has actually been really good friends with Will and I remotely for years. We were friends online, so he actually moved out here because he knew Will and he knew a bunch of other people living out here, and he wanted to be more in the scene out here as well.
Nice. I know that there's a lot of like metal bands and different type of genres in the Denver area. So it's people love their metal in Denver apparently.
Yes, definitely. They definitely do.
So Chronos Compulsion. I love the name of the band. How did you guys pick the name?
Thank you. So that was actually Will. He studied a lot of anthropology and evolutionary biology in school. And the lyrics are all kind of informed by like a take on, human history and early humans and kind of the history of violence in early humans. So Chronos Compulsion refers to the very violent, like parent devouring myth, the Chronos myth. And that's kind of where it came from. And then I think he can probably explain it a little better than I can, so I wish he was here, but I believe it comes from that myth. And then in anthropology, it's basically become, kind of a term for to describe some of like the violent human history and evolution and just like humans tendency towards violence, tendency towards, I think it specifically refers to like dismembering bodies when you bury them.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting. And you know, for people that think that metal is not a thinking man's like genre, like that right there is like super interesting. Like it's good to know that it's about the compulsion of mankind to violence that sadly I think we still have it.
Yes.
Like have we evolved as a species? Like obviously the violence has gotten like different, but it's still violence in a way or another. And the EP that you're putting out now, I like the cover a lot, and I'm going to show the cover, but it reminded me of you know, I used to study in high school in Catholic school, so it looks like when Cain like dropped a rock on Abel, like in the Bible or something like that.
Yes, very much. I think what we were going for, or rather what Lucas was going for when he drew it for us, was just kind of that same concept, right? With Chronos Compulsion or with the Cain and Abel myth. Just sort of that, yeah, history of people turning on each other and people, kind of stopping each other from advancing, which is another big theme. So that's kind of what we were going for there. And I really like the illustration.
No, yeah, it's really cool and really. I like how that you can read the name of the band, but you can read the name of the EP, which I think is hilarious. And yeah, it's like the most primitive urge, like that you can see in the picture, and it goes along with the music because the music is pretty brutal. So your husband and you will like you divide the vocals like Like, do you take a lead sometimes, or are you always the backing vocalist?
I'm always the backing vocalist. He's much more the vocalist than I am. I initially joined the band thinking I would just be the bassist. Actually, I initially joined the band just for one show and then had so much fun I actually joined. But he, I think, just wants someone to, he would eventually like for me to, I think, take more of those duties on, but I need to kind of grow and develop a little bit more as a vocalist before I can do that. So for now, it's a little bit more just kind of a back and forth play on each other, but definitely a little bit more in the background than he is.
Yeah, for extreme vocal metal, like it sounds like really harsh on the vocal cords. Like, what do you got? Like, for example, when you're going to sing, like, do you do like a warm up or something, or what
Yeah,
technique you like to use?
yeah, we both warm up. We always have a lot of honey in the practice space to kind of help with that. And it's funny because he gets so many compliments on his vocals, and I think they just kind of come naturally to him. And he himself is always like, "Oh, I need to be better. I want to strive to have this better technique." But I think how naturally low his vocals come out, people find that really cool. And for me, I have no idea how to do low vocals. I do not know how you do that. So I just kind of do the louder, high screaming, and I'm just kind of trying to hone that in and work more on, clarity when it comes to like singing for a longer time, which is super difficult.
Yeah, I just listened to that and my vocal cords kind of hurt, like it's because it sounds so brutal. So you guys had that. You first had an EP in 2020, in 2021, Cursed and Decay, which
Yeah.
has 3 songs, and now on this one you have 5 songs. Do you guys prefer doing EPs rather than albums? Is it something you, because I've talked to a few musicians that say that in this day and age that people like consume music like more on short bursts, like EPs are the way to go. What are your thoughts on that?
That is interesting. I could definitely see that. I mean, I think for us, I know both Will and John also have a background as like electronic music producers, so there might be a piece of it there where they're used to doing more like singles or shorter albums. But I also think it just had to do with the fact that we wanted to get something out pretty soon after we became a band because there was already something in the works. And then we once again felt like we had some songs to kind of get out there, but we don't feel yet like we quite have a full enough material or a full cohesive concept to do like a full record. And especially because we've also done one other split, so one of the songs we had went to that split. So I think to do a full length, we really want to, sit down and have like, 6, 7 songs that we feel like all go together as a concept. But
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be coming in the future.
I've always enjoyed those splits where band those with other bands. I remember Fit for an Autopsy did one with the Artist Murder. I think I can't remember other band, but they're really interesting. When you guys do splits, like how, like, do you also work with the other band, or how does that work?
So far, we've only done one since we're still a pretty new band. But the one we did was with a band called Seed of the Sorcerer, Womb of the Witch. And they're really good.
Or
We
that's a
love
cool
them. They're
name.
great guys. It's a really cool name. It's long, but it's a cool name. Um, they just kind of asked us, they said, we have a song, we'd really like to do a split with you all. And we actually had one that we thought would fit in really nicely. They were both a little bit longer. So even though it's only 2 songs, it's a decent length. So that just ended up kind of working out. And then they have like their own label and they ended up like doing a lot of that. We just kind of got them the track. So that just kind of worked out well. They asked us and we happened to have a song that would work for it.
No, yeah, that's awesome. So we were talking offline that you also do journalists and interviews. So now you're on the other side of things. Like, how do you enjoy the part of like reviewing music? Because I've seen a lot of videos where there's some artists that complain about people like reviewing music, which is basically opinions.
Right. Yeah, I think for myself, and especially because with New Noise, I'm also managing editor. So I'm actually in charge of all the reviews online. My policy is that we just don't do reviews that completely slam an album. I usually feel like if you get a record for review and you hate it that much,
Yeah.
you're not the right person to review it. So I try to, like I try to be honest and point out like, hey, was a little bit bummed that they didn't have more of this or whatever. But I personally feel like if the goal of the review is just to totally destroy it, then maybe it's better to give it to someone who would appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. Like, I've done reviews. I've never like fully destroyed anything, but I didn't like this. Maybe we could do this. But
Mhm.
uh, you know, the funny thing is, when I say I didn't like something, I get more views.
Yeah. Yeah. People love the drama.
Yeah, when I put like something like I love this album, no one cares. But if
Yeah.
like if I say like Ozzy Osbourne uh should probably retire, people are like, how dare you?
Yep. Yep. They love a scandal. That's very true.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So yeah, the EP, the new EP is coming out on May 12th. What can you tell us about like the process of making this EP and basically like themes that you cover in it?
It's funny with the process because I always talk to bands who talk about this long, tedious process. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds awful. But we kind of had a similar experience where we essentially recorded it one time. We were almost ready to go. We recorded it ourselves because John and Will are both producers. They know a whole lot about stuff like that. And we just weren't quite happy with it. We were like, we think we can do better. We want someone who's more professional when it comes to recording metal to handle it. So we ended up going with Austin Mini here in Denver to mix and master it as well as record us. And so we were kind of like, okay, second time's the charm. We're gonna go have him record us. And that was awesome. I think the three of us, me, Will, and John, are just very self-critical. So we were just really, hard on ourselves with that initial recording. And Austin's a very honest dude. So to sit there with him and have him be like, yes, you could do this better. I think you've done it well enough. Really helped us, I think, get out of that and be like, okay, we feel like we've done the best we can do. And we had an outside opinion verifying that. And then when it comes to the themes, I think Will can definitely speak to that the best since he's the primary like lyric writer as well as like comes up with the concepts. But I help here and there since I'm also a writer. And like a lot of times I'll help him like, okay, it's fleshed out. What could we change this line to or whatever? And yeah, I'd say the big concepts on this record, or on this EP rather, are kind of what we were talking about earlier. Just the sort of violent regression in society, how violence and just sort of that impulse to be self-destructive has been there since early primitive times and it's still there today.
Yeah, no, it's a great concept, and you guys are not violent. You have honey before before you go on stage, so your vocal cords uh, don't uh, don't get damaged. Yeah, I know. I once saw an interview with James Hetfield. Apparently, I think he lives somewhere near in Denver or
Oh wow.
somewhere, and he talked all about bees for for 30 minutes and honey, which I thought was interesting. But apparently,
Wow.
there's like a lot of places for growing like a beehive, and you could save on honey.
Yes. There is a lot of good local honey out here. That is true.
Yeah, no, I haven't been there, but I would love to. I don't know, is Red Rocks somewhere in Denver?
Yeah, right outside of Denver in Morrison. So it's really just like 20-30 minutes outside of the city, which is pretty cool.
I just want to go there and see a show, like
Yes.
because it looks so awesome. Like I have that DVD from Incubus where they played there, and it just sounds like an awesome place to listen to music. Where I'm from in Puerto Rico, we have like an outside place, and there's like trees and stuff, but nothing like that. That just looks insane with the nature and everything. So I know that you are releasing the EP in May, and you're doing some local shows in Denver. Where are you guys playing, and so we can give some promos here?
Yes, the next show that we're really, really excited for is we're playing May 2nd with Noctambulist and Thraw, who are two bands that we're really into. So that's super exciting. We'll be playing at High Dive, which is a local venue here that gets all kinds of good smaller shows. So that one is coming up 2 weeks now, May 2nd. It's pretty soon. That one is super exciting. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I know the dates for any of the other
I think I
ones.
have it right here. Let me check.
Okay, cool.
I have it here.
Glad you do.
Let me check what the dates are, because I saw that you also play on May 13th in Seventh Circle Music Collective in Denver. So that would be like the release party, right?
Kind of, yeah, that one will be really fun too. Seventh Circle is kind of an all ages DIY venue here. And then I believe we have a few other shows coming up as well, that are kind of just getting solidified. At one point in the late spring, early summer, we'll be playing in Colorado Springs, which is just an hour south of Denver. So we kind of have some stuff now that we're looking forward to throughout the summer and even into the fall.
Awesome. And you're putting out the album with Caligari Records, and you're doing it really old school. You're putting it out on cassette and digital. So yeah, that's really old school cassette. But I've if vinyl came back, cassette can come back too. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Because like I said, I also work for New Noise, and I guess we're doing one of our covers right now. It's for a band called Sam I Am, that's more of a pop punk band, and we're doing a cassette through that. And we got some interesting comments, everything from people being stoked to people being like, why would I buy such an ancient format? So I think it really just depends. But we here, Will and I have a whole bunch of tapes and records. I'm also a writer and editor, so I still collect like paper books, even that's becoming a little dated. So I think that for folks, especially metalheads and punks and stuff like that, collecting formats like vinyl and tape it's cool, because then you have this cool physical thing. The nice thing about tapes is that they're still portable and they're not very expensive, but it's still kind of this cool old school thing. And we are also, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about it or not. I'm bad at this side of things, but we are putting out a CD. It's going to be still through Caligari, basically just a CD version that also has Cursed and Decaying, the EP on it. So it'll be
awesome.
more like the length of a full length, but those two EPs on CD. So we will have a CD option coming for folks who like that. And then yeah, I think, for those who are just like, tapes are too old school, who cares? We'll have digital, and that's always a nice way to do it for the more modern ones.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's obviously streaming has changed music forever, and there's no excuse now for people saying I can't find the band. But if something happened with technology, like if we had like a Last of Us scenario,
Yeah.
streaming would go down. Well,
Mm-hmm.
basically everything would go down because electricity would cease to exist. But yeah, it's nice to have those physical copies. I started collecting vinyl like at the pandemic, and I started like getting like a lot of albums from the 90s that I loved.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool to have it. And
Yeah.
I used to have a lot of CDs, and now most of them my parents threw away,
Oh
and
no.
yeah. Yeah, they're like, why do you need them? It's all online now.
You're like, no, it's worth money now, and it's so cool.
Yes. No, and I've also heard people that don't listen to music a lot, like why would you buy something on vinyl where you can stream it and it sounds the same? I'm like, no, it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of so people can stream it, buy the cassette, or you'll have the CD. So how did you, Addison, how did you, when did you start getting into music and playing the bass?
Well, I started playing like acoustic guitar and guitar probably when I was about 6 or 7. My dad's a huge music fan. He was really big into punk, and he used to play drums. And so he encouraged me, and I've been interested in music thanks to my parents since I was a little kid. And then, pretty typical story, similar to a lot of people, in middle school started listening to more specifically metal and punk. And then in middle school to high school started getting more into metal, death metal, classic metal. And then I always kind of played guitar here and there. And then I got a bass as well, and I really liked playing bass, but I always kind of came back to guitar because I'd be starting a band just with a drummer or something, and we'd be playing, and it would just be easier to play guitar. But except I love acoustic guitar, but when it came to electric and heavier stuff, I always kind of preferred bass. And then just off and on through the years, Will and I would kind of have, not so serious projects, just jamming around the house, and, played guitar and bass off and on throughout my life. And then, yeah, in October of 2021, Will and John had started Chronos Compulsion and needed someone to fill in on bass. And they were like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Why not? I can check it off my bucket list. I can say I've played a show. I think I can learn the songs." And then surprised myself because I had such a good time. I was like, I think I would actually really like to join the band and get more involved.
How was that first experience of playing that first show? Like, were you nervous?
I was so nervous. I wanted to throw up. I couldn't eat for days beforehand. I used to have cripplingly bad stage fright. Like, I could not get up in front of people. It was real serious. So that's why I was kind of like, okay, if I can do this as this one bucket list thing, maybe it'll help with my stage fright, and then I can say I've done it. And then, after that, I feel like I was still nervous for the next few shows, but I felt a lot more self-assured when it came to, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can kind of stand up here. I have my bass in front of me. I'm not looking at the crowd. I'm just kind of focusing on that. And I'm still kind of awkward on stage. I don't have like a lot of stage banter, but it's funny because it actually does seem like it's helped me a lot. It's like taking one of those Toastmasters classes or something, where now, even if I have to talk in front of a group of people, I'm not as nervous now.
What classes are those?
I think I don't know. My old mentor and boss used to tell me about them. Maybe it's just a thing in the US, but it's basically like those classes where it's like everyone has to take turns talking, and then at the end, like, everyone has to give a speech to get you over public speaking. And there's a bunch of things like that that are supposed to get you past your fear of public speaking. So I feel like I kind of did that with with playing shows, which is funny.
Yeah, no, that happens. At first, when I started a channel, I felt stupid talking to my phone, doing a review. I
Yeah.
felt awkward, but now I feel comfortable. So yeah, it's I know what you mean, like a something to get over the stage fright. Maybe they make you look somewhere and focus there,
Mhm.
or maybe you can start doing like some stage moves.
Yes.
like just don't throw the bass like that guy in Nirvana and get like you remember back when in the 90s they played on MTV and he took the bass and he threw it in the air and it smashed his face.
Oh no. Yeah, that would definitely be me. I'm way too clumsy.
That's
I'm
that's not
usually just like, please don't let me trip. Please don't let me trip over my cord while I'm up here.
that's not a good, yeah, that wouldn't be a good move. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that you get to play music with your husband and you get to share that love of music like well, I'm guessing, do you guys get on each other's nerves sometimes?
Sometimes, but I think it's nice too. I guess I just couldn't imagine, having a relationship where you don't have a lot of things like that in common. It's also nice because, it's not like, oh God, you're going to the show. Why'd you spend so much money on this stupid show? Why aren't you hanging out with me? Like, we'll go to shows together, and both buy merch and be excited for the same shows, as well as, playing music together. It also makes band practice really easy because just the two of us can jam a lot. And then John lives really nearby and hangs out with us all the time anyway. So it's nice as a three-piece.
Nice. So you working in music and also doing the reviews with Decibel and all those magazines, like you must listen to a lot of music. Like right now, like what are your like the recent albums that you're spinning, the albums that right now are like, oh, you got to check these bands out.
Yes, I'm really excited about the new Scowl album. Or I think it's technically an EP, but that I've been listening to a lot. Also the new Jesus piece that just came out last week, I believe. I've been listening to a lot of hardcore lately. Frozen Soul just came out with a new track, and I'm a big fan of them, so I've been listening to that a lot too. And then other than that, I like to make myself huge playlists with things that come out of all kind of different genres, because I tend to forget about, bands or even entire genres sometimes because there's so much out there. So when I'm not checking out like a recently released album, I like to kind of have that mix on there because it'll remind me of, stuff I haven't heard since I was 16 and songs that just came out and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's like, there's so many genres. Sometimes I feel that new genres are popping up. Like,
Yes,
so it's hard to keep up
definitely.
with the new genres. So, Addison, it's been really fun getting to chat with you about your the band's upcoming EP and the shows and everything and music in general. Like anything that we can say to the people watching this video about Chronos Compulsion and what to expect in the future?
I would just say thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll check out the EP when it's out. And then yeah, in the future we're planning on definitely playing more shows. For now, more in the Denver area, but we'll see what happens. And we're definitely planning on working on a full length. We just don't have a solid timeline locked in for that yet.
Yeah, and Addison will be working on a cool bass move on
I'll
stage.
try. I'll try my hardest.
So people, Chronos Compulsion, if you like extreme metal and you want to extreme metal with lyrics that are interesting, because we just heard what the concept is about, go check them out. You can stream them, you can pre-order. It's out on May 12th. So Addison, again, have a great night, and maybe next time we can talk to the whole band. It would be cool to talk to your husband as well, so I can pick his brain too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.